So I wanted to pop on here and have a quick discussion with you about nurturing your growth while on a mystical path. And I felt like it was really important because I don't know, maybe it's because of like the spaces I'm in, threads, and also just seeing collectively how we're all sort of shifting into different facets of the world. Some of us are becoming more religious. Some of us are becoming more spiritual. Some of us are awakening to the fact that, our government has been a mess. Um, but a lot of us are awakening, basically, is my point. A lot of us are awakening, and a lot of us are essentially starting over. So we may have been successful in our past lives. We may have been successful a year or two ago, and suddenly something happened within us that is causing us to shift, to change, to evolve, or crave something more from ourselves. And it's requiring us to sort of strip away what we're used to, strip away what we know, and become anew and become a student and brand new all over again. And that can be quite scary. That can be daunting in a way to start over, especially when it's in a way where you're having to rebuild your sense of self and your purpose, right? If all you've been defined by is being a person's partner or being a person's um, parent or being a person of a certain means or a certain job title, and now those things are no longer prevalent and poignant in your life. Maybe the kids grew older and now they're off to school, or maybe you switched careers, or the career that you're in is no longer satisfying and you want to go into something else and you're starting from scratch, and that's scary. And a part of starting over is is basically burning everything to the ground and trying again. And that is spiritual. That's a part of the spiritual path. And so when you were cultivating this new person, getting to know this new version of ourselves, or going back to who we were as children, because a lot of us are doing that, we're essentially redefining ourselves in the world that we cultivated before. And how do we navigate that? That can be quite scary. And I'm in the midst of that myself, redefining myself. I've moved to a different city, moved to a different town, left my old life behind, basically burned everything to the ground. And it's like we're starting over. And I want to emphasize that as we're nurturing ourselves through it, that you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have a 5-year goal. You don't have to have a 5-year plan in order to sustain yourselves. You just have to take things one day at a time. And sometimes it can feel lonely because when you're starting over, it almost feels like all the old traumas that you had in the past are reawakening, because many of us got to the points that we've gotten in because we don't want to go back to where our past was. Many of us have gotten this far in life because in our childhood, we lacked this thing or we lacked that thing. We didn't have the support, or we didn't have the friends, or we didn't have the the right parent. And so a part of nurturing your growth, especially on your spiritual path and in your journey of becoming, it's it's a part of preparing the soil, right? We have to prepare our soil. And in order to do that, we have to clear out, the path for something new to come forward. And so a part of nurturing is allowing Mother Nature to first have her way. If she needs to strip things from you, if things need to be taken or things need to die, you have to let them die. And then you have to practice a bit of patience, patience with yourself, patience with, the life plan that's starting to slowly unveil itself, and know that nobody blossoms overnight. And your becoming is going to take more than a week, right? It's going to take even more than a month. It may even take more than a year. But allowing life to unfold for you without rushing it, you will thank yourself in the long run, because I feel like a lot of qualities that many of us have as we're sort of recultivating ourselves is we're having to relearn what patience looks like. So many of us have spent years building our lives up and then we finally reached it. And then now that we're starting over, it's like, dang, like the road is going to be slow and long again. And you're having to rebuild that muscle of patience for yourself and for life. Um, so that's the first thing is have patience for yourself as you're going along the journey. Um, the next thing would be like, you got to get disciplined. And I'm with you. You have to have a disciplined practice, whether it's your prayer life is disciplined, whether it's your meditation life that's disciplined, whatever your spiritual practice is, whatever it is that keeps you energetically clear and sovereign and present and in your body and um, just presence, you have to hone in on that during this time because that is going to be your anchor. An experience I actually had recently was as my life was shifting, oh my gosh, my work schedule picked up like crazy. I have never worked so much in my life. I was like, girl, this feel like slavery. Like this feel, I don't like this. Like I'm working every day. And I was literally working like every day for like 40 days, like no joke. Talk about exhausted. And one of the first things that went was food for me. I stopped eating. And the second thing was my spiritual practice went out the door. And I can tell you, I felt it. I felt it in my body. I was a nervous wreck. I was like a chicken with her head cut, just running around rampant because I wasn't grounded in the practice. I wasn't grounded at all. I wasn't grounded in anything. I was just running on E. And that's something that can cause you to slip and fall and backpedal to old habits that aren't conducive to your growth. And so while you're nurturing yourself, it's important to pick up a practice and a discipline that you can stay consistent with that doesn't deplete you, but aids to your journey and to your life and goal. And you can have a practice that takes 10 minutes and you could just use that every day. Or you can have a practice that takes 30 minutes and some days you get the 30 minutes and some days you get the 10 minutes. But what's important is you get some minutes, okay? What's important is you develop a discipline and you develop the muscle of discipline to get to the next step. A lot of what I've learned along my journey, along my mystical journey and my mystical path, is that you will always go through um, renewal periods. You know, you'll think you've made it, and then something happens, and you just get pulled back down to remind you that this is a journey, this is an odyssey of being human. And so you're always kind of learning more and more about the human experience as you grow and you go. And the last thing I really wanted to share with you, along with nurturing yourself on the mystical path, just know the road can get lonely. Sometimes the best medicine for you in the season that you're in is sacred solitude. Sometimes you got to get alone. Sometimes you got to get clear. Sometimes you got to get focused. And sometimes there's just too many distractions. And so you're being, sort of carried into this little corner, this little nook of life where, people may not be calling you as much, you may not be going out as much, it can get lonely, right? And for some people that can get dark. But understand that you're going through your evolution, your cocooning phase, and it's a part of the process. And so you're not alone, even though you feel alone. You're just growing and you're going through your growing pains. And so, in nurturing your growth, know that sometimes the growth is painful, right? Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it requires you to lose some things in order to gain the best thing. Sometimes it requires you to get patient. Sometimes it requires you to get disciplined because Lord knows some of us ain't disciplined. And I'm still trying to get disciplined, but it's a part of the journey. So I just wanted to add this little video for y'all today because it was on my heart and it was on my mind as someone that's been on the mystical path, but is in the midst of starting over all the way over again. So I just wanted to let you know you ain't alone in it, and I'm with you. I'm with you, child, and we gonna get through this. And so I hope this was helpful to some of y'all as it kind of was to me just talking to y'all. And yeah, I will see you all in my next video. Talk soon. Bye.